Hello. Oh, I forgot to turn my internet thing. Maybe it'll work okay. You guys let me know if the connection isn't good enough and I'll switch to internet for the stream. Trying to... So I just re-dyed my hair this morning. Non-fish related business. So I just got some packages from my Thanksgiving buying. And there should be an unboxing coming out pretty soon here. I, of course, took advantage of Aquarium Co-op's Thanksgiving 8-hour live stream. It was actually really great because I woke up at 8 and I got packed, and then I got on the road, and then I was listening to it until the last half hour when I finally arrived in San Diego to visit my folks. And I literally, like, I woke up and, like, I put in my Thanksgiving order from Aquarium Co-op, and then I'm on the road because I've been really wanting those gold Anubias, and they were like, they've been not on their website, and I was listening to the live stream over Thanksgiving, and he's like, oh, I'm gonna put some on the website because I know we have stock. And so, like, I pulled over on the highway to order myself 2 of the gold Anubias plants because, you know, you can never have enough varieties of Anubias. So hello, multiple aquariums and HC Aqua. Glad you made it. Yeah, I thought it was kind of funny. I was like, this is sort of ridiculous and desperate, but at the same time, like, I've been wanting those for ages, and they were always not on their website. Like, they were always out of stock. So I got some ordered, and I'm like, when they came, I was like, I don't even know where I'm gonna put these. I also ordered some really pretty rock, which I'll grab and I'll show you. Again, I don't know where I'm gonna put them. But look at this piece of stone. Isn't this gorgeous? With these, like, peaks and all these crevices in there. I can't wait to do something cool with an aquascape with them. But I don't have a tank for it. Like, I have to redo a tank to make them work. The Pinto Anubias, yeah, I haven't seen those for sale very often, HC Aqua. They're really cool. Or, like, there's a type of the Nana Petite that, like, grows vertically or something. It's a different variety that sometimes gets mixed in with the standard variety that look really cool. But, you know, you never know. Some of those are just, some types are just mislabeled. I mean, I have probably like 7 kinds of Anubias, and one of them grows like so tall. It's almost needs a much bigger tank than what it's growing in. But it's weird because it didn't start growing tall until like 6 months ago, where, you know, it's like it was short with everything else, and then all of a sudden it decided it needed to reach the surface of the tank, and it's in the 75. It's the one that I noticed the iron deficiency on. So one thing I've been dealing with the move is kind of trying to refigure out my water chemistry, because I had no algae issues when I was in central Washington, and I was, you know, dosing Easy Green and liquid carbon, and that was it. And not even in all the tanks, like just my main planted tank was I dosing those regularly. And when I moved here, I'm now getting blackbeard algae, and I think the difference is that there's less iron in the water. Like, I've noticed iron deficiencies in the plants, which I've posted about on the channel before. And here, let's see if we can get a little bit more fish tank in the background. Oh, my stand doesn't want to let me here. There we go. My big blank wall. I need to put something up there. So I've been dosing iron, and I've been noticing a little bit better. Hey, Sasquatch Aquatics. And so, you know, it's really like when you move somewhere and your water chemistry changes. Like I asked on Joel's live stream a few days ago about what, you know, is it the hardness that's causing, you know, this new hardness that's causing blackbeard? Because, you know, I had blackbeard algae really bad when I lived in San Diego, and that has really hard water. And then I moved to Central Washington and I never had it. And then I moved here and in Vegas, and we also have hard water. But I also think the water here is also a lot more mineral dense. Hi, Mellow Moogle. I'm glad you made it too. I should learn how to schedule streams so you guys know I'm going on. But you know, I'm still really new to the live stream. This is live stream number 5, so we're almost halfway to 10. Well, we are halfway to 10. Math. So is there anything you guys want to particularly talk about? I mean, obviously we like to ramble about fish. I don't have an actual topic planned for us today, although we can talk about fertilization or water stuff. I know, like I was saying, like my water here, my TDS is 480, and our water comes from either the lake or underground, so it's very rich in minerals and calcium, which is good. But I think what's happening is the plants aren't using up all those minerals as quickly as when it was in lower quantities, and so now I'm needing to dose other things to help everything absorb, so no one thing runs out. Unfortunately, I don't have like every test kit imaginable to be like, oh well, how much is my boron rate, or how much of this ion do I have? So I'm kind of playing it by ear. I have taken Corvus Oshkin's recommendation of dosing more on my liquid carbon to help with the blackbeard algae. I've been doing some hydrogen peroxide dips and Excel dips. I actually kind of fried an Anubias because I've been sick for the last 2 weeks. The last time I live streamed, since I didn't live stream on Thanksgiving weekend, I was starting to feel not so great, and then I ended up being like super sick all that week and over Thanksgiving. But I put 2 Anubias that were covered in blackbeard algae like in a little bowl, and I put hydrogen peroxide and easy carbon in there, and yeah, and I just put them in there, and then I went upstairs and like I fell asleep for like 6 hours, and I came back. So instead of like 10-minute dip, that is what I planned on doing. They were in there like all day, and they seem to be okay. Like, I mean, those Anubias leaves are like gone, but the rhizome seems to be in shape, so I think the plant will survive. If not, like, I have enough of that Anubias to be like, okay, well, it's not the end of the world that I lost a little bit, you know, a couple little pieces. But I hate the look of blackbeard algae. It's such a pain. Like, of all the algae, that one's the most awful, and it's the worst for like Anubias because they're such slow growers. So HC Aqua says she did a 10-minute dip and still had melted some of the leaves, not the whole plant at least. Yeah, so I mean, at this point there's some Anubias or there's some blackbeard algae in all of my small tanks, and then in my 75. The other 2 don't seem to have it. The 55 has some sort of algae, but it's had it since I got it. It's some sort of weird, like, kind of coarse stringy algae that grows pretty rampant in there. But again, it's had that since I got the tank. I got the fish and everything in it. So I don't know what it is. I've kind of managed to, you know, with water changes and care to like get it to not be as quite invasive, but there's definitely like stuff, you know, just this cloud algae growing all over the sponge filters, which unless I replace the sponge filters, I don't know what to, you know, like it's just, I can pull it off, but I'm not like getting rid of it completely. Hi Dank Tanks. How are you doing today? So yeah, so it's like, you know, it's like I've been battling that algae, and then I'm starting to get it in the other tanks, and just a little bit, like it's you know, like in the 75, it's growing on the cream strands that go up towards the top that are really close to the light. And so, you know, I've clipped some of the ones that had infestations, and I've sprayed them down and stuff, and it's managing it, but it's not like getting rid of it. And you know, that's the thing, is like, you know, H2O2 or excess carbon adding, they might get rid of the infestation we're having now, but I still have to figure out why I'm getting an infestation, because if I don't find the root cause, it's just going to be battling an infestation constantly. And so I'm hoping, like, I've started dosing more iron to all the tanks, because there's, you know, there was an actual obvious iron deficiency in some of the plants in the 75, so if there's some there, you know, I need to dose everything. Hi Corvus, how are you doing today, Joel? Are you working on my shrimp? Yeah, I don't know if I want to black out because the tank, because I mean, again, that's only like, it might kill off some of the algae that's there, but it wouldn't get rid of it completely. And again, it's not a massive outbreak like I need to, like, I'm gonna either have to black this out seriously or nuke the tank. It's like just a little bit here and there. So I mean, at this point, I've been on some of them, I've been like just trimming off the bits of the plant that have it, and you know, discarding it because there's plenty of plant there. So it's just an ongoing battle until I figure out the root cause of what element the tanks need more of, so that the plants outcompete any algae growth. It just seems weird to me that it's like the 75 has some, and the 10s and the 5s have some, but then the 40 and the 50 don't. Like, it's just weird that, like, it's not everything or nothing. Like, you know, I'm just like, what's different about the 40 that it's not getting algae? So it's just like one of those things where it's like, it's an annoyance, but at the same time, it keeps us busy, right? Like, we like our fish because we get to stay active and figure out the puzzles. At least I always think of them as like a puzzle to figure out. So keeps me from setting up a new one while I'm having this. Yeah, it keeps me on my toes. Hi Candy, good, I'm glad you could come. So I was actually wondering for you guys, if I put out the question to you, should I think about changing my YouTube name, since it's just my name right now? And I don't know. I originally, when I was re-earthing my YouTube account, because I've had one for a million years, it feels like, it was called Holga Gem, which was a type of photography that I was doing at the time. And so I think my channel's still like, that's like its little extension. But it's like, I feel like we should do something like you know, Jennifer's Aquariums, or like, you know, I don't know, Psycho Fish Freak? I don't Yeah, so like Nisi said, I could change it to my Instagram name, which is Holga Gem. You know, it doesn't necessarily scream fish, but at least it like keeps things considered. It's actually funny, Candy, a friend of mine, and it's a teasing name that came up in like high school, so like, you know, a billion years ago. They would call me a psycho pet person because I had so many animals. Yeah, well, you know, right now Jennifer J. Saraceno doesn't really scream fish either. It's just like, if you Google that, you'll find my art stuff, you know, and that's what I'm wondering. It's like, well, do I want, when you Google my name, for my fish channel to come up? Because that's usually like work stuff. Like if they're Google, like if I apply for a teaching job and they Google, you know, Jennifer J. Saraceno, they'll come up with my website and my, probably a really, really old blog, and, you know, my Facebook account. So, you know, it's just like, it's trying to decide, like, I mean, at this point people know who that is, so, you know, it's kind of like, FU2 just changed his account, and it took me like a week to figure out who this new person was, but why they also seemed familiar with everyone. Yeah, so, you know, it's just like, I don't know. I mean, a lot of us do this. You old Corvus, yes, but you know what? It's funny at this point. I mean, everyone says my last name wrong. You know, Jennifer Saraceno. Your wife says it right. But it's also, you know, it's not easy to spell. Like, I could just do like, you know, well, I know there's now like a JJ's Aquariums or something, so like I couldn't even do that, but like, you know, something shorter, something easier. So layman, we say it's Saraceno, but it is actually Italian in origin, and then it would be Saracino. So like nobody says that right. I've had like 2 professors, you know, like English, an Italian professor that said it correctly, but yeah, nobody says it correct. So Nisi says, Doug and I were just talking about branding. It is what it is until you make the name, the brand works for you. You know, Rachel O'Leary is Miss Jinx, doesn't scream fish, but we all know who she is. Yeah, so I mean, that's a really good point. I think it's just like trying, like deciding if, you know, something unique and something shorter, I think is what I'm actually going for. And maybe that's like just, you know, keep it with like Holga Gem so that it fits the same thing for my Instagram account, like Nisi was saying, because at least that's short. But then, I mean, does that confuse everyone when you change a name? You know, like, is it just easier to keep it the way it's been? I mean, I know when you're chatting on, Nisi says it took her forever to know that I was on Instagram. Yeah, I mean, and I don't really put a lot of fish content on Instagram. I mean, it's mostly my cat. I mean, let's be honest. And things I've ate, things I've cooked. So it's not really like, I mean, I don't mind fish people following me, and I follow plenty of fish people on that. I just, you know, like my content's not like, you know, fish thing. You know, it used to be kind of more art stuff. So, you know, it's like, you know, just saying the same thing. It's like, you know, and I could probably be better at like putting in the descriptions, like when I post a video. I mean, this is the marketing thing. I'm like, I teach marketing to my students, but I never do it myself. Like actually listing all my social medias and like my Patreon account, even though like I don't expect anyone to ever go there and donate money to me. Like I will probably like faint of shock if someone donates into my Patreon. But you know, it's like, it's there because, you know, you have the account so you can patronize other people. So, you know, I can give Corvus my money. So I might as well, you know, set up my profile, right? So, you know, but I could list those. I could be better at listing them. And that's a way to like help people socially connect with each other. Hi Gina, I'm doing well. I'm finally feeling a little bit better. I've been sick for 2 weeks. Finally got on some antibiotics. Although it's a really weird antibiotic. You take it and then you can't eat for an hour. And if you do eat, like it evidently like lowers its like potency. And I'm like, I've had this gunk for 2 weeks. I want it to go away. So I'd rather starve for an hour than not have my antibiotics work. Yeah, Moogle, you're right. Marketing is tedious. And, you know, I do this for fun. I mean, I don't have any intention to ever turn on monetization on my channel when and if I get enough views to actually do it. So, you know, it's more like ease for you guys to find me and like for people to know who I am when I'm like in chat. So it's like, I mean, some points like using your name, they know who you are. There's no like, oh, who's that Holga Gem girl? You know, where, you know, like if we, you know, Nisi, we know your name is Nisi, and it's easy because we can quickly, you know, type directly to you, and then, you know, when we're looking for you on Instagram, it comes up and that sort of thing. So, I mean, yeah, it's not fish related, but at the same time, it's easy to find you through all the social medias. And I mean, I don't think like Instagram, especially like if you do Jennifer Jacers, you know, in Facebook, I'll come up. So, you know, that's my account's under. Although I think my direct page there is Alabaster Eskies from eons ago when I had and showed American Eskimo dogs. All my puppies that I don't have any. Well, I have one American Eskimo, but he lives in San Diego. Oh, hi, Diego. So see, like that's kind of the thing, right? You know, like Petsodic, is that what your username is? You know, we don't know the name, which, I mean, gives you some ambiguity, which is nice. But at the same time, like I saw on Joel's stream last night, because I was able to catch the last half hour because he was running long. Someone's like, who's Joel? And it's like, that's the thing I don't necessarily want. I was like, I don't mind you guys knowing who I am. I mean, obviously, if I'm live streaming, you're going to get a pretty, like, you know what my face looks like, you know where I live. I'll go look, find me one person in Las Vegas. Yeah, so Nisi says it's the downfall of using your name for branding. Everyone wants to be your friend on Facebook, and some of them share weird stuff, right? Or like they have a completely different political standpoint than you. I always say, like, whenever there's, thank God there hasn't been anything too terrible lately, but you know, whenever there's some sort of political thing going on, whether it's like football players kneeling during the, you know, anthem, half of my Facebook feed will be like these really ultra conservative people that I happen to know through like my parents or like old family friends, and then the other half are like super liberal, and I'm sort of like in the middle going like, can't we all just be nice and like love each other? You know, like just accept each other and understand we have different opinions. But yeah, it's like, I mean, I get like this polarizing of my Facebook feed. And it's weird. Like, I mean, I know you can friend people on Facebook and then unfollow them, but like, what's the point of having them in your, you know, friend side? So Corvus says, well, on the marketing side, if you really want to be an aquarium only channel, I'd go with something like Jen's Aquatics, or yeah. And that's kind of what I was thinking. Like, I could do Jen's Aquatics, or, you know, probably Aquatics, because at least that's shorter and people can spell it. Yeah, I mean, I just feel like I could go a lot of ways on my channel, because I could do different things, but then it's like, well, then I'm building different audiences. Like, if I start doing photo stuff, fish people aren't really gonna care. If I start doing makeup stuff, fish and photo people aren't gonna care. So yeah, so Corvus says one of the reasons he uses Corvus is because back in the early days of the internet, it was important to have anonymity. Now we're all tied to, yeah. And that's what, like, so, I mean, we're the same age, Corvus. It's the same thing. Like, I've been on the internet back forum days, back before forum days, and, you know, using these monikers like you know, Holga gem or alabaster eskies, which, you know, could link you to me through my kennel name back in the 90s. You know, they were that safe goat, like, because nobody saw you, nobody knew you, and you know, you'd have friends on internet chats or whatever, but you didn't necessarily want to, or need to be that, you know, close to them. You know, I remember one chat group where I'd actually met some of the people, and so we knew each other personally, but you know, we still referred to each other by, you know, their monikers. So Kyle's asking if I have any other hobbies. So I'm a photography teacher, so photography is definitely something that's really big in my life. I am dabbling with some video, which, I mean, mostly is fish video at this point, but it's, you know, playing with that. I knit, which is another type of art. I like to cook and do those sort of things. So, you know, it's like, there's a lot of different things that I like to do. I mean, obviously, I like to hike and I like to go out in nature and take pictures. I'm not sure I'm gonna live stream that, mostly because there's probably not internet most of the places I go. But, you know, there's a lot of things I could put online, but at this point, like, I'm mostly just involved in the fish fam, and I'm, you know, pretty happy with just doing, you know, a once a week video on the tanks, which I got another unboxing for us this week, and then hopefully my new shrimp from Flip Aquatics will come this weekend, so that'll be coming up. The doorbell rang almost right before I went on, and I was really hoping that it was the Flip Aquatics order so we could unbox it, but it was a neighbor asking for something. So I was like, oh darn. Corvus says, I met a bunch of creeps in '95 that made it a really good decision that they did not know my real name. Yeah, so it's I mean, I think it's still just as many weird people out there, but I think with social media how it is today, it's just inevitable that you can't keep that secret, no matter how you try. Maybe just add aquatics to the end of my name, so Jennifer J. Saraceno Aquatics. That seems like it would take up the whole entire, like, text box. It's super long. I could make it like Jennifer J. Saraceno's Aquatic Fish and Pets channel. That would be nice and long, right? We could make it like so it takes up 2 lines in the chat bar every time I post something. That would be pretty hilarious. Halga Gems Aquatic Zen. Yeah, see, you see that there's part of the problem there too is I've spelled Halga Gem 2 different ways, because one way I'm like, I'm gonna spell it with a J and be super cool, and then I spelled it with just like gem, like G-E-M, the other on my Instagram, so it's like, even that's confusing. So Kyle says, I think being anonymous has its value since most anonymous people act different. Being known keeps you honest and at least in line. Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that has some truth, because I mean, that's where, like, in some of the Facebook groups where people are really mean to each other is because they feel like nobody knows who they are, and they have that anonymity. Oh, Mellow Moogle, that's great. Jennifer J. Saraceno, Aquatic Tanks Photography Teaching Emporium. Emporium, like I have like a location. Kyle, that's pretty funny. He says that he's in Texas, so if someone comes banging on his door, he just pulls the shotgun on him. Good old Texas. I don't know though, I think Nevada's pretty much the same way. I haven't looked into gun laws here, but there is literally, I drive 5 miles from my house to my work, and I pass 6 gun stores. So that tells you something about gun laws, right? They must be pretty lax if they have like literally a gun shop in every complex. Hi Priscilla. Yeah, I just dyed it this morning, so it got refreshed. It's been fading, but yeah, I've ombre'd my hair again, trying to cover up the gray in the front, but it didn't take very well. So I was like, do I have time? I woke up at 8 and I was like, do I have time to dye my hair before I live stream today? It's just something I've been putting off. I also need to find somewhere to get it cut. So Joel says, I wouldn't worry too much about the rebranding thing. You could always launch a different channel if one of the things that you were doing really takes off. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm not trying to make a living here. Trying to de-stress from work because work is crazy right now. Although we just got a new chair in, and he seems nice, and we'll see if he follows through on some of the stuff he is planning on doing, because that might make my life less stressful, although while asking me to do a whole bunch of stuff that that aren't really on my job description. So Nisi says the blue base dyes are harder to take hold on here. Yeah, well, and then I'm like really careful because the last time I dyed up here, like I had a dye patch on my forehead, because if it gets on your scalp, it stains. Doesn't necessarily care up in the hair, but your scalp will be purple for a month. So I was trying to be really careful on the front part, where the top, I'm like, it doesn't matter. So Kyle says, Texas is crazy like that. I'm sure Nevada has open carry or at least laced gun laws. I see people all the time with pistols on their hips around. Yeah, actually in Central Washington, it was open carry. So, and like if you wanted a concealed carry permit, it was literally you went to the police station, you filled out a form, and they handed you one. So it was super lax, because several of my friends had, you know, like my dad's like, you should get a concealed carry permit. But as a teacher, it's literally in my contract that I couldn't bring a gun on campus or like anything like that. Yet the students could open carry on campus. It was really crazy, because like I'm like, so they could just walk in with a gun on their hip. That's great. That doesn't make me feel uncomfortable at all with, you know, school shootings so rampant. But you know, it's like I grew up in California, so like my parents had concealed carry permits because they were self-employed and they carried large valuable amounts of money with them a lot of times. And they literally had to go through like what an FBI agent has to go through to become an agent, and training for the gun, like, and your use of the gun, and classes to take it yearly and everything. And like, it just shocks me that the rest of the world is like, oh yeah, here, you can have a, you know, concealed carry permit. Like, okay. So Corvus says the CWP takes more than that now. Okay. It was weird. Like, I was like, well, I mean, yeah, so it was a background check. I guess to me, I don't never worry about background checks, because I don't have anything in my background to worry about. I've been way too square my whole life to ever do anything exciting. So Priscilla says she thinks you can open carry in Colorado if you have a permit. Yeah, I mean, I feel like you should be able to open carry, but at the same time, like, just to buy a gun, you should have a gun safety class, because, you know, that makes sense. Like, I competition shot when I was in junior high, and you know, we had to do all sorts of classes to, you know, safe handling. You had to take tests and stuff, and I just was like, well, if everyone took a class on this, it's like driver safety, right? Like, you gotta know how to pass the test so you can safely operate a car. Like, I mean, that's also a weapon of mass destruction if you decide to drive through a shopping mall. So, you know, like, why not have people have to take a class, you know, just so they know that they're handling it correctly. So, you know, everyone can feel a little safer. I mean, if I was in a, you know, so Kyle says he had to take a 2-hour gun safety class. That wasn't, oh, it was an online, yeah, those are always a bit of a joke. It's like, I once ran one of those camera lights, those red camera light things, and we, you know, you had to take the driver's ed thing, and I did that online, and like I finished it in 15 minutes. Now granted, I remember everything from my driver's handbook from when I was 15, because that's just kind of how my memory works. But it was like, I remember scanning the page, and like you had to make sure like you knew the content, and then like you'd have to find this like random word like, Gary likes yellow bananas, and then there'd be a quiz question, what color banana does Gary like? And that was like the big trick question to make sure you read it. Yeah, so if you were a bit older and were born before 1990, you weren't born before, oh God, I'm so old. I feel that way every day with my students, and I'm like, yeah, this da-da-da-da, and they're like, we weren't born before 9/11. Like, I was 1 year old when the Twin Towers fell, and you're just like, oh, you're so young. So HC Aqua says you can only carry a gun from your home to the shooting range in Hawaii. Interesting. Well, at least you guys are older than 2,000 babies, because that's just, I mean, because you're like 27, that's a decent age. We won't talk about the 80s and the 70s then. Try to keep things, you know. I love it when students are like, oh, I love this song, it's so vintage, and I'm like, I listened to that in high school. I never know teaching college if it's gonna keep me young or make me feel old for the rest of my life. It's a catch-22 there. Priscilla says you got your driver's license 1.5 years ago and you don't remember anything. Well, it was sort of, you know, it's like, so I'm the younger sister, and my older sister, she took the driver's test 5 times. In fact, once she actually got a repeat test, so they gave you the test after you failed it, and just the written one, right? So they'd give it to you to study off of. And so she literally, like the 3rd time, she got the one she had the first time, so she's been studying off of it for weeks. And she still failed it. And I was like, you've been studying these questions. So like, I got my driver's license about, well, we actually ended up going in and taking our written on the same day, and then she did her driver's test before me. So I'd been studying off of her quizzes, so I pretty much were able to, like, I mean, I knew all the answers, and I knew if you didn't know the answer, guess on the conservative side, you know. I think I missed like 1 test, and then 1 question on the test, because I guessed too conservatively. And then 4 years ago, I moved to Idaho, and in Idaho you have to take the written because they have rules about animal grazing, and they're like, do you want to study? And I'm like, nah, I'll just take it. I mean, like, how awful can I do, right? Because it's not like they're going to take away my Washington license if I fail the written test. And yeah, no, passed it, missed 2 questions because they were random ones, like who owes man, and if you hit cattle in an open range area, who's at fault and who pays the, you know, bill? And I was like, okay, I'll guess here. I don't think they mentioned much insurance laws other than like you had to have insurance. I don't think our tests ever really quizzed you on like how much insurance or like what rate or who, you know. I mean, there might be a who's at fault if the one driver doesn't have insurance. Interesting. Yeah, I think it's weird how, like, you know, I mean, since I've been moving state to state so much lately, I think it's interesting how, like, they don't have a pamphlet for, like, what's different in our state. because, you know, like I moved to Washington and I just traded out my driver's licenses pretty much. And they have flashing yellows there that is not a thing in California. Now, it doesn't make as much sense to have something like that in California because there's just so much traffic. But like, I mean, I'm like, okay, well, I figured it out, right? So flashing yellow means proceed with caution and you can go if it's clear. But at the same time, it's like, this is weird. And so like, I always think it's, you know, like, I know some states you can't, you know, it's just, you can't take a right on a red light, period. I know that's a thing in some states. I don't know what states they are. So it's like, it'd be nice if there was some sort of like, this is what's different in this state and unique in this state. So, you know, it's just, but I would assume, you know, in Alaska, you would have to know things about moose. For instance, don't hit one with your car. The moose will probably be fine. You will die. Kyle says you have to be a little crazy to live in Alaska. Statistically, at least 10% crazy. Yeah, you know, because I drive all over the country, like when I can. I love doing road trips. And, I mean, I'd rather drive somewhere than fly. And it'd be really nice to, like, have that kind of handbook. Yeah, I'm sure moose do kind of come out of nowhere, although you think something that big would make, you know, have some sort of projection aura. But that happens. Like, I had a bunch of friends that in Oregon and Washington that, you know, deers just jumped out in front of them and they really messed up the cars. So Priscilla says in Colorado you can take a right turn on a red if not, it will say it. Yeah, it's usually like here in Nevada, California, Oregon, and Washington for sure. Those have always been like posted if it's no turn on red. Not that people read those signs. Well, yes, I mean, Texas is just as crazy as I'm sure people that live in Alaska. Of course, I have to be pretty crazy to live in Nevada. This place is insane. So Kyle says you can take a left on a red if it's one way in Texas. 50% of drivers don't know this. That they just like the sound of my horn. Yeah, yeah, I think that's the same here. Like, because you're on a one-way street, it's basically like taking a right if it's a two-way. You know, you're just going with the flow of traffic. Especially if you're on a one-way street and the other one's a one-way street, because then you know, you're just really merging. But those are things where it's like, what if it isn't? And I do this in front of a cop and then get get in trouble. Thanks, Nisi. Nisi says you sometimes have to go where the job is, which is exactly how I ended up here. And I don't, you know, she doesn't blame me for living in crazy town. I think it's funny when people are like, oh, it must be so fun to live there. And I'm like, not really. It's just a suburban area full of people. And yet everyone, like, wants to, like, I don't know, the people are just weird here. Like, the people that grew up here, they're really, like, kind of evil. Like, I don't know how else to say it. I mean, not really evil, but, like, a lot of my students are really conniving. Like, they'll twist, you know, how you say things and what you do, and they'll, like, they just, it's just really different from any other place I've ever taught. So, okay, Priscilla has a question. Question since you do photo stuff. Photo paper. What paper can I use with an inkjet that has a matte feel to it, but the print part is somewhat glossy, like laser paper? No, you don't want to use laser paper. Yeah, isn't that Kitty, the kitty face? She's she's a sweet bee. Although she wanted to cry the whole way down to California, which I was like, you're just going to see Grandma. Paper. So there should be different kinds of paper out there. I would suggest looking at Epson Papers. They have a photo matte, and I think they have a photo luster, and I think that's what you want. So it'll have a kind of matte feel, but it will be glossy looking, or a semi-gloss, yeah. So semi-gloss is too glossy. Okay, so look at luster, or if you can find it, and it might be a higher end, they might have one that's called velvet, or yeah, like a velvet finish. That one's gorgeous because it's like matte, but it's got a little shine to it, and it's, you know, it's like velvety feeling, and it's a really pretty texture. So, you know, the Epson papers, you can usually find them fairly readily, but you could also order them. I would suggest looking at Freestyle Photo. They're actually out of, yeah, the velvet's more expensive for sure. I'm assuming these are for your art prints though, so I mean, I would suggest using, you know, the paper that you really feel works as best as possible. Corvus is back. What's happening? Well, we talked about guns and we talked about crazy people, and there's a cat. Oh, meow. Oh, you didn't like that? How hard is it to learn Photoshop? Photoshop can be confusing, and because there's a lot of options. Like every tool in Photoshop has a bunch of options, but I don't think it's super hard. I mean, I teach it in a 10-week class, and people seem to be pretty decent at the end of it. There are a lot of really good online channels that you can follow to learn stuff. Nisa said, "We saw a kitty and my heart melted." Yeah, she's good at that. She's the best kitty in the whole world. As every cat owner, I'm sure, says about their cats. But she's a doll. So there are some good photo classes. If you want free, you can actually go to Adobe's website, and they have a lot of oh man, learning Photoshop in 2 weeks? Yeah, that would make your brain hurt. Illustrator shouldn't be as hard though, because it's just a vector system of a pixel system in Photoshop, so a lot of the tools are exactly the same. So side tangent, sorry. You know, I mean, I would, in theory, could do little video tutorials of Photoshop. But there's a lot of good channels. If you want to pay, like, you could go to like Creative Live. They have like expert Photoshop users, and they'll have different classes. And what's cool about them is every so often the classes will come up for free. Yeah, I mean, I think you get a little bit more when you pay for the class. One, because you're more likely to follow through, but also you're going to get a higher quality instructor than like if you just Google stuff. But a lot of times, like, I mean, we were doing a drop shadow for a student's work last week, and I was like, I know how to do it, but like the way I learned it, you know, in 2003 is probably way more complex. There's probably an easier way now because the software is constantly changing. So we just Googled like how to create a drop shadow in Photoshop, and we had, you know, a 2-minute tutorial that showed us really simply how to do it. So, you know, sometimes it's like just learning to oh, my screen, oh, my aquarium cop broke the live stream. No. Hopefully the sound's still coming through. My screen is buffering, but I can't tell if that's just my computer internet or not. So Miramugo says she's been using Sketch since coding school, and everyone wants Adobe programs and job listings. Thankfully, Adobe has a monthly subscription. Yeah, and I mean, I really like it because I always start in Lightroom and then I move to Photoshop when I want to do more expansive things, and the $10 a month subscription includes both of those programs. Now, if you need everything, it's like $40 a month, so that's a little bit more. Yeah, and then it works through the cloud and it makes everything a little bit faster. But I can look up too. I can do a little research and see if I can find a really good channel to teaching Photoshop. I mean, I learned it so long ago. Like for me, I'm mostly just looking for updates. I usually do like lynda.com, which you can get a free trial for and probably learn enough in the time to then cancel it. And then, you know, Adobe has a lot of tutorials directly on their website, and if nothing else, it teaches you all the tools. So basically, like, you work through all the tools with their different videos, and then it's, you know, using some independent learning to figure out when you'd use what tool a little, you know, better. But I mean, I really like Photoshop. I like playing in it. I was trying to come up with a logo, but I need a better, it's terrible. I need a better photo of my fish to start with, and then I haven't decided which fish I'd want. Oh yeah, and some libraries have free memberships to Lynda, and a lot of Lynda tutorials, the older ones, are online, so they're on YouTube, so you won't get like the most recent edition stuff, but they'll have Photoshop tutorials for, say, like edition 5, but not that much has changed from 5 to CC, so it's like, you know, start with the free and then see if you can. And how to check your local library, that'd be cool if you can get it through there. Yeah, a Cory would probably be fitting, and then I just have to decide which Cory. I probably want to try to capture my black Cory because I think he's the coolest. I actually have 2 black males now. One's growing up really nice from the babies, so there's actually probably a few more, but like one's gotten sizable. That's real dark black fins. But then part of me is like, but it's my bristlenose, he's my favorite fish. But I don't know if he'd really work in the like little circle very well. I was trying to crop a shrimp out just to make a more fun thumbnail the other day, but they have so many little parts that don't look right if you don't get them all. I'm like, no wonder Joel's paintings take forever. He's like, those little shrimps have all these little fiddly bits. So can you guys see the video? Because on my end I'm not seeing it, but I'm thinking it's just my internet. Oh, there it is. Okay. Yeah. Well, you know, I was told, well, I wasn't told, but in one of Cory's business streams, he said that it's best to use your face because people are less likely to unsubscribe you if they see a personal connection with like who you are. But I think then, like, once you get to a point, you could like brand yourself with a channel and a logo. So it was doing it to you too, huh, Candy? Because I just had to refresh my page and then it came back up. Yeah, I mean, for me, like, I mean, I just have a goofy picture of myself, which is fine. What Solid Gold uses? Let me look at her channel real quick, because I know it's on my YouTube somewhere. Just need to open a new. I mean, to me, it always looked like she just used like probably Illustrator and Photoshop. which I mean I think is what most people use. It's weird to me because like on Corey's last stream, he was talking about how like the thumbnails for videos should no longer like contain words, which I think is just the most bizarre thing. I can't even grasp doing that. Here, let me look. I'm not as good at multitasking like Corey is when he can Google things and type responses and carry on the chat conversation. Priscilla, see, go to Epson's website directly. They usually have a sample pack that you can request. I mean, it'll take like a month to get it. But you can get a sample pack and it usually has at least the luster in it. I don't know if it has the velvet in it because that is more of an art paper than it is one of their ones that like they sell at like Office Depot or Staples. They're solid gold. Let me look at her thumbnails. Yeah, I think she just uses Photoshop with solid gold thumbnails because a lot of times it's just a cutout of something on top of a background image, and then she has a nice back, you know, like she uses that mint green background, but it's just she's just cropped herself out of the like her office and then put herself over the image. But she does have a nice styling, so that's one thing. Like all of her thumbnails have the same, like not the exact same font, but they have like the same text blocking and how she lays things out and like the side banner with the information she used to do. So they have a very similar feel to them, which make it easier to recognize it when you see, yeah, the consistency of it. Yeah, I'm the same way, Kyle. Like I read a lot of the thumbnails. I mean, I considered it in my last one, right, where like I put a little box with the shrimp because the shrimp came, right, and then I put, you know, shrimp up near something on there. So it was like the thumbnail told more of a story than just a picture in the background. But a lot of times it's like, well, if it's just a picture of my fish tank, like when I'm looking through thumbnails, especially the people that I don't have the bell turned on for, where like I automatically see like, you know, my constant, like always watches. I always watch, you know, Miss Jinx, and I always watch Corey's videos and stuff like that. So they go, the bell's on for those. But the people that are just in my subscription, a lot of time I'm flipping through there and I'm not reading the text next to it. I'm looking at the thumbnails. And if it's just a tank picture, I'm most likely going to flip past it because it's just a fish tank. Like what's special? What are you telling me with a fish tank picture? But yeah, she definitely has her own branding down really, really solid. There's a couple people that I follow that have like super good branding. And not even huge channels. They're just they always seem to like have a consistency. Like I'm looking through my channel, all I can find is makeup tutorials. But Bob, like his I mean, he's a bigger channel, but his, like, he always uses a certain text. So like I've been on mine, like I just use a thumbnail and then I use the same font and the same color font. So like if you see that color font, you should, like, in theory with branding, like go like, oh, Jennifer posted a video. I'm sure you do, Joel. Your old Commander 64. My dad had one of those ages ago. But I also see what Corey was saying, because a lot of the big channels, the like million subscriber channels, are going towards this like no text on the image. And I think it's kind of interesting to see these, like, you know, the main YouTubers, the people that like literally are making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year from YouTube, are doing that. So Kyle says, I don't think Corey's puffer thumbnail was a good one. and a good example of his thumbnail theory. Yeah, yeah. Well, I don't know. I've noticed since Joel and Corey have been hanging out more, I feel like Corey's picking up Joel's personality with all the bizarre faces. It's, you know, I just think it's funny because it's like, I didn't see that on his channel. You know, and maybe that's his real personality coming out, and because he has changed a lot. I mean, I've been following for, I don't know, 5 years at least. I mean, back when he first started his channel. But it's like, his personality has come out so much more. But from his original ones where it was like, hi, this is Corey from Aquarium Co-op. Which I still think is funny. Like, there was a video he didn't do that. He didn't say, hi, this is Corey from aquariumcoop.com. And I was like, he forgot his intro. How did they miss that? That's like the patented intro. So Corvus says, no text in the image technically is pulling better click rates at this point, which basically means nothing if it ups my clicks by 8%. Oh yeah, 8% of my 50 clicks. I mean, that's like 51 clicks. Or no, 55 clicks. Ooh, well, I mean, it is like almost, you know. Well, Jimmy needs to sing more. He's funny. I'm glad he's doing more on his channel. I do miss him just rambling about fish with us, but it's nice to have, you know, some Jimmy only channel. It's kind of weird to me that it's the Jimmy of Aquarium Co-op channel. Like, I feel like it should just be like called the editor or something, because it's like, it's never Jimmy on that channel. It's just B-cut. Like, you know, it could just be like, you know, editor's floor cots or something. Things on fire is really important for thumbnails also. Right? So I need to put more flames in my thumbnails. That'll get me to 1,000 subscribers. Oh, I'm pretty sure, I haven't checked, but I'm pretty sure we passed 100, which is pretty exciting. I don't know how to check that, actually. Oh, 98. So close. So close. Almost 100 subscribers. Does that mean I have to do some sort of giveaway and give free shit to people? That explains, Joel, that 19% increase, that really explains why everyone was like lighting shit on fire and cutting things in half. Like, I'm gonna cut this $5,000 Chanel bag in half with a blowtorch and a knife. Like, why? Why would you do that to a Chanel bag? I mean, why would you spend $5,000 on a bag? But then once you've done that, why would you cut it in half? But it does explain that there was a really big trend for a while where like all the YouTubers were doing that. Like, let's set this makeup on fire. Let's set this photo thing on fire. And it's like, really? Oh, the hydraulic press channel. Okay, that's kind of fun because it's like, it's fun seeing things smashed. Kyle says, yeah, the Aquarium Co-op post-production or after edits, I always think I'm talking to Jimmy in the live streams. Yeah, it's like, I mean, half the time it's Joel and Corey on there, which, I mean, I love to watch Joel and Corey, don't get me wrong, but it's like, this isn't Jimmy. There's no Jimmy on this channel. Jimmy is hiding in the other room with M&Ms and a nap. Yeah. What would happen if we boil our aquarium water? I don't think that'll be super fun. Oh, Priscilla, yes, let's do boil rock experiments. We can totally do it in my backyard. It's like this big. But you can't boil my new rocks because I spent lots of money on them. Or like, there's always these challenges on some of those channels where like, what can I waffle? Like, well, you can ruin a waffle maker by putting all sorts of things in it, but I'm not sure it's really food anymore. So yeah, on giveaways, I think the consensus is you don't have to do giveaways, although like maybe at 100K, yeah, I would do a giveaway at 100K, sure. Y'all gonna get art because I can't afford to give you money. Right, Candy? Like, why would you ruin a perfectly good waffle maker by trying to waffle biscuits and brownies and half the time it's pre-cooked things anyway, so it's like, well, you could probably waffle brownie batter, but why would you do it with pre-cooked cookies? Like, that's just burning shit. Oh, but then I guess that goes back to the fire, right? The element of fire. Oh, mixing aquarium chemicals. Ooh, dangerous. I could mix up a batch of that, of my fertilizer. Giveaways at 10K, 25K, 50K, and 100K. Other than that, it's basically useless. Yeah, I mean, I see these smaller channels, and they're like 500 subscriber giveaway, and I'm like, I mean, I guess that's good, but I also see the big channels that like they're doing giveaways, like they give away MacBooks every month or whatever, and it's like they're just doing it for like subscribers, but those subscribers just leave after the giveaway's over. And I don't think the fish fam maybe is that like flimsy. Of course, I'm not giving away a MacBook. If I had money for a new MacBook, I'd keep my MacBook. Nisi says, I secretly don't care about the YouTube thing because then I'd have to give away free crap. Priscilla says, I'm sure there's something you can mix with Prime and it would explode. Probably. I mean, Prime does have a very sulfury smell to it, so I'm sure whatever you would combine with like sulfur and I don't know. I'm sure if I paid more attention to chemistry, I would know something about that. I got around taking chemistry by taking physics. Well, Corvus, you kind of did do a giveaway. You still owe someone that shrimp painting, though. Okay, I just like harassing you about that. But you did the giveaway when you got your Patreon subscribers, which, you know, that was a giveaway. But I mean, I think giveaways a lot of times are hassles, and then like, I mean, like if I was to mail something to HC Aqua in Hawaii, it's going to cost me, you know, just as much to mail it than it would cost to, you know, like give it. So then that's like, okay, well, you can do a gift certificate, you know, like Amazon or something, because then they can get it. But I just like, to me, it's like, if I wanted to do a giveaway, I'd want to do it somewhat personal, and then that would probably be photos. But do you guys really want my art photos, or would you want just like snapshots of my fish? Like, I mean, I could do that, but y'all have fish, you can take pictures of them yourself. Okay, Kyle says Prime is sodium thisulfate. It's like the best chemical oxidizer. It's used to detoxify and oxidize cyanide, chlorine, and a lot more. Well, that's good, because my old place in Washington had cyanide in the water. It made me feel really good when I read that on the water report. Of course, that water smelled so bad. It was the worst smelling water ever. It actually killed snails, which I'm like, snails are pretty hard to kill. And I never drank it. I filtered it through RO. So Nisi says if Joel does a giveaway for a painting, she'd do her damnedest to win it, and then she'd have Priscilla Angel's pieces of art in her fish room. So Nisi, go to my website. Oops, if I can type. jennifersjsaraceno.com and tell me if you would want a piece of my art. It wouldn't be fish related, but it would be mine. Yeah, I'm tempted. I just, like, the reason I don't do salt water anymore is because mixing the water is such a hassle. But there's a part of me that really wants to do RO and then remineralize it for the tanks, because I feel like that would get rid of so many of the algae issues. To circle back to what we were talking about actually at the beginning of the stream. Because then you'd just be adding fertilizers and you know there'd be the correct amount of minerals. I mean, there could be still deficiencies. You could have plants that pull one, you know, maybe they pull something really, you know, heavily or use it up. But I just feel like, you know, public tap water is just such a mixed bag. I'm still trying to figure out which water company my water's coming from. Like, I know who I pay my bill to, but like which, you know, facility it's coming from, to get a full chemical report. Because like when I did that in Yakima, it was literally like there was cyanide, there was mercury in my water. I was like, how is this allowed? Like, how can you have these in water? You know, it's funny, Nisi, that you say that. So Nisi says, why aren't I not entering some of my photos in Jimmy's photo group? I feel like you can help teach noobs how to learn more, like explain focus and whatever. I mean, I don't want to step on Jimmy's toes. Like, I mean, that's his thing, and I mean, he's doing a good job. Like he was showing something in Lightroom the other day, and I was like, oh, do this, and then I was like, you know, like, he's doing it his way. There's like 100 ways to do it. Like, calm down. But I don't want to. It's actually weird because oftentimes I see you guys' posts in there, and I'm like, dude, I take terrible pictures. Like, they're doing so much better than me. And I think it's really, you know, you never feel like your work's good enough. So you know, and then you know, when he does the challenges, I want to shoot for them, like take them as photo assignments. I don't want to be like, oh, I'll just enter some old photos. Like, you know, I have this great stock of photos that I could put on, but I don't, you know, if he does something, like if I have time, I want to shoot specifically for that. And a lot of times I find like his assignments, I just don't have enough time, like, you know, work 60 hours a week, to like go out and specifically shoot for them. But I would like to participate in those more. I also like that he does like these really like ambiguous topics where like it's up to you to determine how you want to do something. Ballet on his toes, huh, Joel? God, I haven't done ballet in 20 some odd years. Prilla says, I like the last pic in the montage photos you have. Any chance of a trade? Yeah, probably. You can message me on Facebook about it if you want. Yeah, this is the only way I can get art because I can't afford to buy any. Priscilla, I want you to do a Cory. I want you to do a Sturby Cory because you keep doing all these other cool fish, but I want a Sturby Cory. Because your drawings are beautiful. Yes, you hear the bird. He laughs when I laugh. He's playing with his toys in there, jingling his bell. Yes, I have a bird. It's actually funny how many people have birds in fish keepers that have birds. Because, like, I thought I was the only nut that has a bird. Yeah, see, a little shoal of Cory's going over like a log or something. It would be beautiful. Here, I'll pull Ducky out. He can come say hi. Come here, Ducks. Come on. You want to come out? You want to come out? There's a door in public to see you. There's an adoring public. I got him when I turned 30 because I figured these birds can live till they're about 30. So he would be with me for my dotage. Button quail, oh my God, they're so cute. The gal I got him from, the breeder, had quail. Chickens count. Chickens are also productive because they lay eggs. They don't just eat you out of house and home. So this is his favorite position. It's the reclining position where he gets to hang onto my thumb and recline into my hand. You want to say hello? Yeah, so he got his name. His name is Ducky because when he's happy, he makes these little kind of duck sounds, like actual duck quacky sounds. It goes quack, quack, quack. Oh, the kitty's coming. The kitty's coming. We're gonna get a cat coming in here real quick. Yep. The whole family in a picture. Look at that. Chickens just poop. Yeah, he does that too. Yeah, before I got Kitty, she's been with me for about 4 years now. But before I got her, he had a much more free reign of the house. There was a lot more destruction in my life because he would pull keys off keyboards and poop on things. She's actually kind of terrified of him because, like, if he actually kind of goes towards her, she'll like run and hide because she's a big scaredy cat. But yeah, he has the white around his eyes and he has these dark brown eyes. And then he's pinning right now, so he has a lot of these little pins of feathers growing in that have the little calcium on them. Oh, did that hurt? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah, you can chew on my nail. Yeah, what's worse though is when you go to work and you didn't realize your bird pooped on you. Lavender, you're blocking the picture. All everyone can see is the back of your head. You go to work and you find out that there's a big old bird poop on the back of you. That happened a couple times in grad school because I got him between years at grad school because I was dying to have a pet, and my apartment at the time didn't consider birds or non-dogs or cats pets, so I was able to have a pet in a non-pet apartment. Right, Nisi? Yeah, I mean, she's the queen of the house. She's gonna steal the show if she can. Where are you going, Ducky? So, and then, you know, the bird doesn't come out a whole lot except in the morning and the evening. So he has a cage upstairs and downstairs because they really do like to be with their people all the time because we're their flock. It was adorable though when I first got Lavender when she was a kitten. She would sit on top of his cage and he would hang upside down on the cage and then he would bite at her toes, and so then she'd like whack at him, and I always called it whack-a-bird. But are you gonna come up here? What are you doing back there? Oh yes, yes. I'm not letting you do what you want. But they actually got along and they played quite a bit. You need your nails cut so bad. Hi, Turbofish. We're saying, the pets are saying hello today. The non-aquatic ones that can come out and, do you see yourself? Do you see yourself in the camera? Oh, you're so cute. Obviously I can't pull the fish out. They don't enjoy seeing their reflections near as much. So let's see, Priscilla says, now I need a bird again. I grew up with a bird. It was a gray parrot, so like an African gray. We gave him to a breeder. I bet, yeah, he probably is still alive. African grays live for a very long time. What a bird that can even teach to steal people's wallets. It's hard to teach them things. They're pretty pig-headed about doing what they want. Hence, I have a bird climbing up and down my back currently. You. I'm actually surprised he hasn't gone to the top of my head. That's usually his favorite perch. Yeah, so he's a black cap conure, so he's pretty small. He's 2.4 ounces, and their average lifespan is usually about 15 years, but they can be less, like if they inhale different chemicals, like different things, dietary stuff. I have a friend that has one that's about 30. He's blind. He can't see, but still is an ornery little birdie. So they're a big commitment. I mean, so Priscilla says she probably lived with him for 16 years, but he was 10 years older than me, so he's like 41. Yeah, but I mean, some of those African grays, yeah, they can easily 60 to 80, 90 years. That's why I said, like, when I got him, you're in front of the camera, Lavender. She's like, what? When I got him, when I was 30, I was like, well, that's a good time, because if he does live 30, 40, he'll be able to live with me the whole time. Where if, like if I'd gotten a macaw or something, first off, if I got a macaw, I'd probably like rescue one. Although it's hard to do a rescue for your first bird, because then you're dealing with who knows what social issues, plus you're distracting. But you're dealing with social issues that they might have, as well as learning how to care for birds in the first place. But he's really funny because he was hand raised, so they take the eggs right after they hatch before their eyes open, and then they syringe feed them, so that they associate humans with their flock versus other birds. So when I went on an art residency and I was gone for 2 months, he stayed with a friend of mine who has a bunch of parrots, and he would want to eat dinner with them, but like when the other birds were out, he'd be like, I don't know what you are, go away from me. So Turbofish says he's never owned a bird himself. Quite a fan of predatory birds and watching bird watching though. Yeah, turbofish are really predatory birds are really cool. I was really lucky when I got him. I was going to grad school at WSU, which has like the world's, okay, you're being nasty, stop biting. They have a raptor research center there, and the vet there, her name was Dr. Finch, which I thought was adorable. She was the bird expert. I'm gonna put him away. He's getting antsy about something. But she was the leading bird expert, so it was really nice to have that like expert clinical care near. I haven't found a good place to go to get his nails done here, and I hate doing them myself because he's so mad about it. So I like him to be mad at other people and not me, because my friend she'd come and she'd do the nails at the house. he would never say hello to her. Her husband would come with her, and he loved John, and he would love me, but oh man, he hated Tanya. So I was like, okay, I don't really want to be the person he hates, and to do their nails, you kind of have to like wrap them up in a towel and then fiddle out their toes and clip them. Turbofish, my master's in fine art photography. Lavender, you're still in the picture. Here, come here, baby girl. You can get held. So photos. Should have got it in veterinarian studies, huh? That would have made life easier. Oh, hi, Chris. Welcome. Welcome to the craziness. I don't know if we're technically talking about fish anymore, but we're randomly having a conversation about stuff. Yeah, I'm Priscilla. I mean, that's one reason I got the kind of bird I got, because, you know, he won't, well, pending anything disastrous happening, I should outlive him. Not that you like seeing your babies pass away, but, you know, there's so many parrots out there and they bond so closely to their humans, and then a human passes away and they have to, you know, they get sent off to a rescue, or they get, you know, handed off to somebody else, and they just they get depressed, they don't like it, like they're you know, unhappy. And then, I mean, parrots need a lot of handling and a lot of attention, or they get nasty. And I mean, he was biting me, and I have little dents in my fingers from him just nibbling. You know, I mean, a macaque can literally bite your finger off very easily. So, you know, it's just things you have to be aware of. Turbofish says you have a BA in corporate communications, a BA in applied physics. Go you. And I just got my MBA. Needless to say, art isn't my talent pool. Yes, but you probably make more money at your job than I do. I often think back and I'm like, maybe I should go back and get my MBA in business, because like accounting or finance or something. Because I mean, I worked as an office manager through school, and I actually have an associate's in mathematics and physics. I did my physics classes, but I was like, I always wanted to be a teacher, and I mean, I know that doesn't pay great, but it's always been the dream to teach, and I do love teaching. Don't always love the bureaucracy of schools. Okay, never really enjoy the bureaucracy of school, but I do really enjoy teaching and getting people inspired and seeing them apply themselves. And so originally I was going with a math degree to become a math teacher, but yeah, photography became more of a passion and something I felt like nobody would hate me if I was a photographer teacher. So many people hate their math teachers. Ooh, we're now at 99 subs. We're just one sub away to 100. I know a couple people subbed during the channel, which thank you guys. Glad you're want to be notified when I ramble. Priscilla's like, she's in the same boat as me. We've got this crud. Although my doctor did not give me steroids, he just gave me antibiotics, so hopefully they work. Well, you know, Turbofish, 99 means I'm one way, where if you were 98, I'd still be two way. But hopefully we can get another sub and I'll be at 100. That'll be exciting. It's just like a couple weeks ago I was at 50, so I think we're doing pretty good. Kyle says the only teachers I hated were the self-entitled ones that thought they read a book out loud. They had a better grasp on knowledge than I did. Yeah. I mean, I try to with art, it's like I set up an assignment, I give them parameters, and then they're allowed to do whatever creatively they want. And the students I love are the ones that embrace that and don't just like try to check off the parameters, but actually delve into the options they have out there. Hey, glass boxes, or hello to you too. How is Saturday treating you in New Zealand? I hope you are having the day off. It's sunny. It is also sunny here. I can almost see the sky out my window. It's sunny and blue skies. It is 65 out today, so it's fun. The native Las Vegians are freezing to death at 65 Fahrenheit. We can both see the sun, and yet it's a whole different day there. It's just craziness. It's just insanity. I don't know. This whole like international dateline thing blows my brain. But hey, if I ever get the chance to travel to New Zealand, at least I'll be like, hey, I know someone here. I could go check out someone's fish tanks. Sorry. Is it back? Okay. Weird. Okay, my phone did something bizarre. Evidently, I can't look at something that pops up on my phone while I'm live streaming. Sorry about that, guys. Yeah, Nisi broke the stream. She sent me something. It's actually streaming on my house internet today, which, I mean, thumbs up, it's actually not breaking up. That's kind of great. Well, you know, Joel, you could always come to Las Vegas and see the glamorous life of a photo teacher and, you know, Las Vegas. And Corvus has his new mic wired in, so we should get some happening audio tonight. Excellent news. Man, Joel, New Zealand has been on my to-do list for a very long time. That said, I've only ever traveled out of the country once, and I hated the air travel. So I don't know if that's, and plus it's expensive. Joel, if you hung out with me, you wouldn't end up in jail, but if you go off on your own, it's a possible happening. It's possible. But that's funny that that's your first thought. What happens in Vegas stays on social media. As my last airline attendant said when we were landing. It's like, what happens in Vegas will be posted on social media. It's no longer the like secret Sin City it what used to be. Oh, Corvus is gonna be there sooner than we think. I'm glad you're feeling better, Priscilla. I'm hoping the sinus ear infection thing will go away for money too. Never a good sign when your anonymous friend over the internet mentions crime as the first thought when staying with you. Yeah, don't get me arrested. I'd lose my job. Nisi, I always thought that was weird too, because like in Yakima, the only airline that flew in there was Alaska Airlines, so I flew Alaska a ton for the 4 years I lived there. And I'm like, but I never go to Alaska. It's not fair. But I'd come visit you in Alaska too. I think that would be awesome. I mean, I know you don't live in the like Arctic Circle, but I do have the clothes for it. Well, most of them. I don't have like, not like dead of winter, but I could definitely have the clothes for the rest of the time. Joel, I don't think I can use what happened, but it happened in Vegas as an excuse when you're employed and work in Las Vegas. I think they wouldn't count that as a viable option. So Corvus, you're maybe headed back up to build some more buildings for your father-in-law, the bacon rancher. I want to see the Northern Lights like in Alaska. We could see them a little bit in Central Washington, but I just think like they just are so cool. I would really like to go and take photos there of all the landscape. I mean, the stuff that Joel Corvus showed when he was up there last. I'm just like, I want to go there and take pictures. Which I mean, I say about every place I haven't been. So, but I do have a nice fun hike now out at Red Rock. That's really cool. So I want to go explore that some more. Yeah, Nisi, that's what, like the Northern Lights in Central Washington, you could develop out the colors, but they really just seemed kind of gray streaks. And then once in post-process, you'd get colors. But like, I know like when you get near the Arctic Circle, you can really see the colors, which is just amazing. Like they're just so bright. And that's what I really want to get to see. Priscilla says we went to Vegas last year in July. Never again. We can't live at 117. Oh my God. So I moved in August, right? And it was 120 for the solid month. And it was pretty much 110 all through September. And in October, it slowly started getting to the hundreds and then into the 90s. And so miserable. And then like, I like cold. Like I think 64 is an amazing temperature, and over here everyone's like, oh, it's freezing, and they're bundling up, and I'm like still in a sundress and sandals. And yeah, so like I'm totally not climatized for here, and it is so incredibly beautiful right now at 64 and sunny and nice. And I mean, really honestly, I would say if you want to visit Vegas, like November, December, January, February, March are your best months, because that's when it's going to be colder here. Although sometimes it gets fairly chilly in January, like in the 40s. Ooh. Yeah, Joel, there's the big saltwater convention in Vegas coming up. MACNA. I don't remember when it is, but it's hella expensive if you're not a member anyway. I remember looking up the ticket price because I was like, I don't have saltwater fish, but it'd be cool to go and check it out. And then I was like, I don't know if I can swing that much money for a ticket. Let's see, September 7th through 9th. It's gonna be MACNA. But if you're coming and you need a floor to crash on, you let me know. I can put you and Vicky up. I can't promise an actual physical bed, but I can promise an air mattress or a camping cot. Well, Joel, you should come. September 7th is your birthday. Hey, August 7th is mine. We're only a month apart. If you came, you could come to the convention and we could all hang out, you know, when I'm not working. I mean, it looks like there's some really cool talks going on. I kind of feel like I feel slightly pressured to get a saltwater tank just because I live in Vegas and that's what everyone here has. They just started a freshwater club that is meeting once a month, but of course it's on a night that I work. Yeah, Milamugo, we understand. I mean, just I think everyone out there feels like if you're participating in chat and you watch our videos and you comment and you interact with us, that's more than enough support. Like I said, don't ever expect anyone to patronize my account, but I really appreciate you here to chat and hang out with me and be friends. So, I mean, that's to me is more support than if you gave me $1 a month, to be perfectly honest. Yeah, I would imagine the Portland and Seattle area, the tech industry is really competitive, especially for females, not to be gender issue rant, but I have a friend that has 2 master's degrees in computer science and engineering, and she can't find a job, and yet all of her other cohort from her degrees have found jobs at Google and Amazon and all that, but the girl hasn't been hired. So it's kind of a weird industry. Which is, I think is crazy because they need more creative thinkers. The town I was in, someone mentioned Costco customer service, Yakima, that's where one of the tech branches or the service branches of Costco is. I thought it was crazy. So I had students that worked full-time and then went to school around their call center job, but their call center for customer service, they were making more than me. They were making $65,000 to $70,000 a year as a starting full-time wage for a call center. And I was like, how do teachers get paid so shitty? And then when I moved here, I got a $10,000 pay cut. So it's like kind of terrible. Well, that's awesome, HC Aqua. I'm glad you can stay well employed, because I mean it's tough. Like, and you think, you know, like, oh, they need teachers. Everyone thinks like, oh, you know, you get your master's degree and you can just find a job, and it's not true. Like, there are a lot more people applying for the few full-time positions, and that's partially because the teaching industry, if we call it an industry, the teaching universities have realized that, oh, well, instead of one full-time employee, we can hire 3 adjuncts for less because they pay the adjuncts so crappy. And so then they end up not like bringing in full-timers, but then their programs kind of disintegrate because part-timers don't have the authority to like keep things running and moving well. So one thing, like, so this job, I am a full-time in person, but they've had just 5 adjuncts running the program for the past like 5 or 6 years. So there's no cohesiveness in the program. So like one of the reasons they were hiring me was to keep, or was to embed some actual organization and discipline into the program so that there was more cohesion to it. Priscilla, there's more than just sunsets in Colorado that are nice. You can go up to the Rockies and there's beautiful places to hike. Of course, I haven't been there since the early 90s, so I could have completely different experience if I went there now, but we went up there when I was young, and we went to a family reunion. My aunt and my cousins live in Boulder. Of course, back then, I'm sure, like now it's probably like just really a suburb of Denver, but then it was much more of like a separate area than Denver. And it was gorgeous. We went in like June or July. Lots of rocks. Well, you know, rocks, easy aquascaping decor, right? When I was hiking in Red Rock, now of course the red rocks they're high in iron, so you wouldn't want to put them in your tanks. But there was I found a grouping of stone that looks like that elephant skin stone or whatever they're calling it. And I was like, oh, this is so cool, but like it's in an area where you can't gather. And I was like, darn it, darn regulated areas. So now I have to find an area that has that isn't in a non-collection zone. Because I'm like, that's so cool, I want that in my aquariums. Fort Carson. Turbofish lived in Fort Carson. My parents actually met in Fort Collins. My mom lived there when my parents met. So they were college kids that weren't going to college, but yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of college kids there. Yeah, my parents met and got married in Fort Collins. I think they met at an ice cream parlor, like they were working at an ice cream parlor. They were like super young. My mom was like 17 and my dad was 19. But then I grew up, well, I was born in Utah. I didn't grow up really much there. We moved when I was 2. But I've spent quite a bit of time in Utah from like visiting family, and that's way worse than Colorado. Salt Lake, it's just a bunch of desert. Although I kind of like the desert. I like the desert in winter, or when the flowers are blooming, which is early spring, was basically late winter here. So Sasquatch Aquatic says he does a lot of fishing and gold panning. I tried gold panning. I don't have the knack. I'm sure it's something that takes more patience than I had as a child. Well, in winter, aren't you supposed to go skiing? Isn't that what you're supposed to do? I would kill myself if I tried skiing. I tried snowboarding in my 20s, and I thought I was going to die afterwards. Like, I hurt myself so bad. It was like, all I ever did was fall over and then like wrench my back, my knees, my ankles. Yeah, bone breaking activities, exactly. I'd end up, like, my friends would go snowboarding and I would sit in the chalet and drink hot cocoa. Priscilla is from Switzerland? I did not know that. I think you need to see a little bit more of the country here. Although that's not bad. New York, Atlanta, Los Angeles, or Las Vegas, and Colorado. I think you need to see a little bit more. You should definitely go to Washington and Oregon, Montana. Go to like Yellowstone, but go like off season. Well, Nisi, that's okay. You can be non-sports with me. I prefer being in one piece without anything broken. Yeah, skiing. I bet skiing's big in Alaska. People probably do cross country there, right? I'm sure they also do like downhill, but I bet cross country is pretty popular there. I've been told there's Mount Charleston here, and they're like, there's snow on it now, because I keep complaining when people say it's cold, and they're like, well, you can go up to Mount Charleston and see snow, and I was like, well, I'd have to unpack all my snow gear first. I'd have to find where all my winter coats are packed. I think cross country would be more doable to me than like downhill. Like that just seems like, let me put on these poles and go really fast down a hill where I can tumble over and break my neck. Or at least cross country, you're using it as a way to move across a terrain that you can't otherwise. Well, that's interesting factoid. You proposed to your wife on Mount Charleston. Well, that's kind of cool. Hi, Nano Fish House. Welcome to the craziness. Priscilla says that when you learn to ski in Switzerland, they put skis on your feet and push you down a hill so you learn fast. Well, I guess at 3, I mean, skiing and snowboarding is easier for smaller people, young children, to learn because they have such a lower center of gravity. So they tend to do better. Like, I'm tall and I'm big, and you put me on something and I go really fast and then I crash. Yes, Priscilla, you're definitely the coolest person we've met. Growing up in Switzerland, moving to America. You need to take a tour of all the fish people so you can see more of the country. I think it's funny because, like, the last place I taught was Central Washington, and a lot of the people there had grown up there and they'd never even been out of the county. Like, they'd never even gone out of town. And to me, that's so crazy because, like, I mean, I grew up in San Diego, but we always did family trips. We went to the Grand Canyon, we went to Yosemite and Yellowstone and all sorts of places. And then getting into photography, traveling, I've traveled up and down the California coast. There's lots of beautiful places in California to photograph: the Eastern Sierras, the Western Sierras, Monterey Bay, Carmel area. So there's all these gorgeous places in California that I would drive to and photograph. So it's like, to me, it's like road trips aren't really bizarre or strange. And like, I mean, I have students here that they've grown up in Las Vegas and they're like, oh no, I never drive anywhere. I just fly if I'm going to go somewhere. And to me, it's like, why would you spend $500 to fly something that takes a tank of gas to get to? Like, I mean, it was 4 hours to drive to my parents', which was amazing. There was no traffic over Thanksgiving, because usually it's closer to 6 with traffic through LA. But it was one tank of gas. Like, that's like $40, $30 or $40. Why would I want to spend all day traveling to an airport and then waiting on an just crazy. Well, Sasquatch, you've come to the right place. We're all a bunch of fish freaks together. So I'm pretty sure we all have a little bit of weird to make you comfortable. Turbofish says, I value candor and generosity most in life. Only weird people care to be transparent without regards for your opinion, and I appreciate that. Yeah, no, it's true. Fake people suck. Priscilla says she's seen a lot of Europe since I lived there for 25 years. Italy vacations yearly with family. France, Austria, Germany. I can't even pronounce that one. Netherlands, Spain, Portugal, Turkey, and so on. Miss those short travel trips. Well, do that here. There's just as much space. But like totally jealous of that, by the way. You probably speak more languages than I do too, though, huh? You used to be able to go to Paris in 5 hours on the high-speed train. Oh, that'd be so cool. I always tell my students, when I become a billionaire, I will teach because I love teaching, and I will just jet us to Europe for photo trips. Yeah, Corvus says he started skiing when he was 2 and he road trips everywhere, which is what I like about you. Road trips are the best. Why? Although I'm pretty like, I wouldn't mind learning to fly, although it sounds really hella expensive, because it would be cool to be able to fly myself places. I mean, basically I'm a control freak, and when I'm in an airplane, I don't have control over where the vehicle's going. But it's not really that. It's more like I don't like the stress that's involved with like hurrying to the airport and going through security and then having to sit and wait for 2 hours because you're ridiculously early, and then getting piled on the plane, and then like the actual flight is fine. I don't get stressed or anything about the flight, and then you get to the airport and you have to get your stuff, and all of that, that's all stressful to me. It's all that hurry up and wait stuff that I don't like. Ooh, Nisi has a bunch of new tank stuff that's coming in today. She thinks. You're a week out from having a 20-gallon long up and running. Ooh, that's exciting. I have a 20-gallon long in my backyard, which I haven't decided if I want to set up or not. It's an older one, and I don't know how. I'm a little worried that after a summer outside in Nevada that the seals might be bad, and I don't want to like put it up and then have it leak everywhere. But Nisi, you better post some pics or do a video for us, like Millamoogle says. We want documentation. Yeah, nothing here is that old. Well, it's really weird. Like, so where I live, plenty of places where I've lived before, there are older structures, like the missions in California, houses built early settlement in Washington, and then in Nevada, nothing's old. There's nothing old. Like my house is was built in like 2007, and that's considered like old here. Like there's just really not like. Even like casinos, the older casinos, they just blow them up and rebuild them. Like they don't leave old architecture. It's also funny because the last time I was in Vegas before I moved here was like 2005, and a lot of where I live wasn't even anything. There's nothing here, and they had this huge building boom in the early 2000s until about 2008 when they had a building like economy, well, the economy everywhere crashed, but so then a lot of the buildings stopped, and then just recently it's been building more, so now it's like anything that is dirt is now being built on. But yeah, like here, like everything feels fairly new and modern, and it's like there's no variety because all the houses look the same, the apartment complexes look the same, the townhouses look the same. Hi Planet Slim, I think you snuck in here or you've been lurking. You haven't bought any fish for over 4 years? And your fish just won't die. What kind of fish are you keeping that are 13 years old? I mean, that's awesome. you've obviously been keeping them happy and well. I have bought fish in the last 4 years. I'm not gonna lie, but I haven't bought actual fish in a while. My most recent purchase have been shrimp, but I've been mostly breeding my fish. I haven't bought fish in probably a year. Priscilla says you can go, Switzerland was founded in 1299. You can go to the core and go look at William Tell stuff, and the dude that had the shot had to shoot the apple of his, apple off of his son's head in the fight of Habsburg. Yeah, real history. I think it's funny when I teach like art history and we spend all this time in Europe and I'm like, well, wait, we can like talk about, you know, this other place now. You don't, it's probably some sort of, yeah, Planet Slim says he doesn't know it's a giant cleaning fish, probably a common, like a couple feet long. Probably. I mean, it's why it's funny, like, people ask like, well, how long does this animal live? And it's like, well, in aquariums, we've got it to live this far, but mostly because, you know, like at some point something might happen. So you never know, like, how long, like when I went to the aquarium here, there's this little Sequest aquarium, which I need to go back to. Maybe, you know, it's in a mall. I don't know if I want to go anywhere near a mall this month. But it has a Redtail Catfish, and this thing is massive. It's like the size of my dining room table. You know, 3.5, 4 feet long, about a good 18 inches wide at the head. And it's like, this is why these shouldn't be an aquarium fish that are sold to normal people, because they're huge. Like, it needs several 1,000-gallon tank. So Plant Slim says he looks more like a fish you would see in a lake, not like an aquarium fish. Maybe a kind of catfish? Priscilla says she has some black skirt tetras that are 5 years old that just won't die. I have, well, I mean, so there's my pleco that I've had for, did we do 7.5 years is what we kind of decided on. And so I've had him the longest, and he's doing great. And then I've had, I have one Rasbora who is just about as old. And all his school keeps dying, but he keeps hanging on. So it's like, I'll bring in like 20 new Rasboras and they school together, and then something happens, the tank cycle crashes or something, and you know, you lose a bunch of fish. But that one Rasbora. And then I have a white cloud minnow who is blind, who somehow ended up in the sump, and he is still hanging on. Don't know why, don't know how. Well, that's true, Joel. I mean, I may never have to buy Corys again. I've got quite a few going right now. I haven't collected eggs in a while just because I don't have anywhere to raise up the fry right now, but I'm really bummed that I lost all my big fish. I kind of want to get some more of the Siamese algae eaters, but then I feel weird like they'd be the only big fish in the tank full of little fish. Not that they'd hurt anyone, but it's just like if it made more sense when I had the rainbows and the roseline sharks because they were like similar sizes. I still have not really decided what I want to do in the 75. Like I'm still really leaning towards doing, like I got a fairly large school. I've got like 20 cardinal tetras. So I was thinking of like doing 20 like lamb chop Rasboras, and then maybe like 20 rummy nose or something. You know, see, that's what I don't know, AC Aqua. It was just so heartbreaking to have rainbows for multiple years, and they cost a bunch, and you take time to grow them up, and then to have them all die on me when I moved. You know, it was very, very sad. And so it's like, well, you know, yeah, I could do more rainbows. But I was also starting to feel like a lot of my rainbows were getting pretty big, and in the 75 I felt like was actually getting a little small for them, where I felt like I needed to go to like a 6 foot, or you know, like, or a 120 or something that had a little bit more volume. So yeah, not to make everyone depressed, but it's just like, you know, I'm not sure I want to go back because I don't really feel the tank is like big enough for like the kind of rainbows I want. Although I do have the 2 rainbow fry that are about a 3/4 of an inch long now, about a 1/4 inch high, and they're in the 10 gallon, and they're growing slow as rainbows do. Turbofish says, I can supply koi, swordtails, guppies, endlers, Dalmatian mollies. I started with Dalmatian mollies many, many years ago when I was like 9 or 10. Working on tri-colored platies. Those would be neat, like koi platies. I generally don't do live bearers. I've done endlers. I actually had F1 endlers back in the 90s, like from someone who went and caught them. He went on a trip, and he was a fish collector. He was part of the Killifish group, probably like hugely famous, and I don't even know his name, but he collected, and he was at the annual meeting for the Killifish group, and he brought these F1 endlers. And at the time in the trade, you could only buy males because they were not bringing in females at all, because they were, you know, keeping the monopoly, and endlers were hella expensive. And I got a group of, I think, 10 F1s for like $25 back when they like were costing when they cost well over $5-6 a piece. And then I bred them out, and they were in a 10 gallon, and I had so many population, it was crazy. But I do like the traditional endler. Planet Slim, you're gonna need to post us a picture or link us a picture so we can try to figure out what you're fishing. You have us all wondering. Yeah, post a pic on Facebook on like the Fish Fam group, or aquarium support channel, or whatever Corey's channel is, and see what if we can find it. Sounds interesting. Yeah, the Fish Fam. Priscilla says I need angelfish. I used to have angelfish. I used to have a pair. I think they were both males though, in my 120. And again, the reason I wouldn't necessarily go for the angelfish is the 75. I feel like it's too small for them. I just feel like once they get full grown, they need more heights. They need to come up with a dwarf angelfish that only gets like the size they are, like this big, instead of so big. And I don't want to do like heated, or like, well, and I think discus would need, you know, they would need a bigger tank too. I 75 is too small for the discus. Dwarf angelfish exist? Really? Interesting. I'll have to look them up. I was thinking maybe a Grommy or a couple Grommies, because like sunset Grommies or something, they're pretty like okay to be in a group. But I don't know. I also don't want anything that like might eat baby fish. Like if the Corey's baby fish survive, like I don't want them to Well, I know, well, I mean, I know there's saltwater dwarf angelfish because I had a whole bunch of them, but I didn't know that there were freshwater ones. I'll have to check them out if they have them on Live Aquarium. That's cool. Well, that's good to know, Priscilla. I just, I don't want to, I worry most because, and angels are like, they're kind of like betas. Yeah, saltwater angelfish. There's like dwarfs and then there's the giant ones. And I mean, giant is like they get like dinner plate size. I used to have the dwarf angelfish. I had a little, I don't remember what it was called. It was red with little black stripes and a blue tail. He was cute. The dwarfs are usually reef safe and the regulars aren't in saltwater. I don't know, Joel, if Corvus Ocean is still here, Flame Angel, yes, thank you, Candy. I knew it was something like that. He was beautiful fish. I don't know if Joel has any angels. I know he has a bunch of tangs, but I don't know if he has any angels. I'm behind on his stocking, on his reef. But yeah, it's one of those things where it's like a lot of the fish I really like are bottom dwellers. So it's like, oh, I could get some more plecos, but it's like I really have probably as many plecos as I want in there. And then like I could put killifish in there, but that's not really the right setup for them. Like when I kept killifish before, they really like smaller tanks. No angels in your reef, Corvus. You need to fix that. Well, that's okay. You can work in the background. That's why I called out your name. I figured you were just listening. You need to get an angelfish. They're so cute. And then I can live vicariously through your tank. No, the dwarf angels. The flame angels reef safe. I mean, I have friends that have them in their big reefs. And then I have friends that have the huge ones that are not in a reef, but semi-reef safe, yeah. Well, I mean, I think every fish is semi-reef safe. I can't afford them right now, yeah. Well, I think that's the, like where I kind of laugh because like people are like, oh, this fish is really expensive. It's $50 in freshwater. Like when we get over like $20, even a $20 freshwater fish, like the rainbows, they're like, whoa, that's really expensive. And then you go over to the saltwater side of the store and you're like, everything starts at $100 and there's a few fish under $100. The turbofish is saying he's seen flame angels in reefs. They nibble on bubble corals and hard corals. I had mine with LPS. I didn't have any SPS in my tank. I don't, no offense to SPS lovers, but I don't really like the look of them. I like the bubble corals and the LPS, the hammers and stuff. I like something that flows in the water when it moves. So Priscilla says her local fish store looks up prices on LPS and then pays 30%. Yeah, usually, I mean, that's pretty standard markup. Well, Candy, softies grow the fastest. You can go, you know, the Kenya trees and the ones that open and close. I can't forget. It's been a while since I've been in there. And then, you know, all the mushrooms and the polyps. Yeah, a flame angel's $50. I really looked out. So when I was in saltwater, I lived in San Diego, and the San Diego Saltwater Club is really active, or was really active when I was there 7 years ago. And then they arranged for a wholesaler to open its doors to us. And they do this like once a year where you could go to the wholesaler and you bought at wholesale prices. Because normally like a wholesaler you can go into if you have a resale license and you spend over X amount of dollars. So what they did is they waived the minimum purchase by saying everyone in the group could buy at the wholesale price. But because so many people were coming, they were making enough to make it worth their time. And they opened up on a day they weren't normally open. And so it was like a Saturday or something. And so I was able to get my Flame Angel and a goby. I couldn't get much because my tank was new and you can't add too many things at once. But like I got a goby and I got the Flame Angel, and then I got some snails and stuff for, you know, cleanup crew. Oh, and I got my fire red shrimp, my fire shrimp. And I think I like paid like maybe $40 for all of it. Which, you know, considering a Flame Angel usually goes for about 50 bucks, right? So it was a hell of a deal. It was like one of those things where it's like, I wish I could buy all my fish this way. But you just can't go out and buy that much right away. But yeah, it's like, I feel like Vegas, like everyone here has saltwater. And like that's the most active group here. And it's like, well, if I got saltwater, at least then like I'd start trading things and be like, hey, anyone have Cheeto, whatever the hell, that algae. And then it's like, you know, then it's like, oh, I have this coral, anyone want a, you know, frag of? And you start making connections with people by, you know, seeing them and trading stuff. Yeah, gobies are like my favorite saltwater fish. Gobies and blennies. The Starry Night blenny is my absolute favorite fish. And one of the local saltwater stores here has them in their frag tank. And they're just so pretty. So HC Aqua says now that he's heard of the Triton method for saltwater, he wants to try it again. Yeah, that sounded kind of nice. Like instead of like just being like, okay, I'm gonna do a 20% water change every week and hope everything's right, to actually know like what you need to add and when you need to do stuff. I wish there was some sort of testing. I don't know of any. I would like there to be one for freshwater, so I could actually go get if anyone knows of somewhere you can get a good breakdown of your water by sending in a sample. I would totally be into that, because I'd like to actually know what's in my water here. All right, Priscilla, see you later. Enjoy lunch or dinner, whatever time you're in, you know, just late lunch. Yeah, I wouldn't mind doing saltwater again. I actually somehow managed to do it on the cheap when I did it before. Now I was working an office job and just going to school, so it was a little easier. But I bought a lot of used stuff. And there were a lot of people like willing to help out a newbie, where like here in Vegas, like everyone's trying to sell their stuff for like top dollar. I always feel like it's because people are selling stuff because they need money more than they are just trying to get rid of things. So let's see what this fish looks like. So that's some sort of pleco. Oops, hit the wrong thing. On Planet Catfish there. So in brown, greenish brown. So that's probably a, you know, it's a pleco of some sort. If it doesn't have that actual coloration, then it's probably just a common or some variety thereof. I don't know, did you catch how, if you mentioned it before, how big the fish is, Planet Sim? Oh no, plecos come in so many colorations. Like, I mean, I don't, even the common pleco isn't really like brown. It's like gray, mottled gray, about 7 centimeters. Hold on, I have to look that up. Well, that's little. 7 centimeters?
I actually have a ruler here. This is my conversion method from metric to inches. So it might be it might be like a little, what are they called? Bulldog pleco, I think is the common name. One of those, they stay really small. Nisi says she saw at her local fish store 3 albino common plecos. Ooh, those are pretty rare. You don't see them in the large albinos very often. There really are one of every flavor in plecos. There are the stripy ones, there's the spotted ones, there's the brown, there's the red, there's the green, there's the blue. Well, you know, you've had him, you said 13 years. He's obviously happy and healthy and doing awesome, so keep up the good work. You know, with plecos though, it's not always easy to tell like what their diet really should be, like whether it should be like a lot of wood or a lot of meat or a lot of algae, but they usually like find the stuff. If you're feeding the tank for your other fish, they find what they need. So there's another local fish store for me to check out, but it's in the north side of town, which is about an hour and a half away. And I do want to go check it out. It's a fresh and saltwater, but I mean, there isn't a freshwater only store here at all. But like the one in Midtown that I've been to a couple times to get like baby brine, they've been good, but like they have like the, you know, normal stuff, but not like Petco stuff. And I'm just like hoping that someone has like a little bit more variety. Would I ever open the Jennifer J Fish Shop? Probably not, because I don't have the capital for that. What does the J stand for? It's my middle initial. You have to guess what that stands for. Oh, I want rainbow shiners too, but I don't have any cold water tanks, so I'm always, they'd probably be okay because my tanks, it's 3 letters, Joel. Now I lost, yeah. So I don't know if I would run my own fish shop. I mean, part of me would love to work at one, but I don't think you can make enough money to like actually have a like enough Joy. Yep, Sasquatch got it. It's Jennifer Joy. They win the prize of the day. Don't know what that is, but you won it. Good job. If there was a way to make an actual living out running a fish store, I mean, obviously Corey does, and he works incredibly hard. But I think it's a hard thing to do, like, you know, to get that running, and I don't think that's in the stars for me. Joyful Corners, or Jennifer's Joyful Fish Corner. There was a time in my adolescence where I tried going by my middle name because, well, early 80s child, there were so many Jennifers. It's a little less common now, but it was like everyone in my class, there were like 10 Jennifers. Oh, that's cool, Turbofish. It's a good middle name. It's fun, and it's not like everyone who has like Anne or Mary or like one of those really common. All right, Joel, have a good day, and I'll hopefully catch your stream tonight. So, oh, I'm starting to get starving here, guys. It's been quite some time. At least 2 hours here, huh? 2.5 hours? I'm gonna need to food soon. So is there any other questions that we want to address today, or we can catch back up next weekend or later in Joel's stream? But I really need to make myself some food. Those antibiotics aren't good for the tummy. What's for lunch? There is still leftover turkey in my fridge, so that is probably going to be consumed since it won't have much of a shelf life left. And there are yams still because, so we had Thanksgiving on Friday with my parents because I drove down on Thursday, and when I left to come back on Monday, I stole half the turkey because I was like, there's 2 of them, there's 1 of me, I'm gonna take this turkey breast, and just took the second turkey breast. And then when I got home, I didn't have any of the fixings, so I had this 40 ounce can of yams, and I opened it and I followed the directions on the back, and it came out like soup. So then I had a 30 ounce can of yams that I added to it, so I have enough yams for like a lifetime, although I love yams, so it's not really a hardship. So I made a giant thing of yams to go with it. So that's been lunches and dinners this week. Well, glass boxes, Joel, it's good to have Thanksgiving in New Zealand. You can celebrate with us, but I assume that means you're having turkey. Well, he's a day and an hour ahead of us right now, if I remember correctly. I don't know why it's important for me to track what time it is in New Zealand, but I feel like I should since we're friends. You know, I don't mind a bit of turkey. It's just that turkey usually makes so much that you end up getting tired of it by the time. Oh, you're an hour behind us. Okay, so you're 23 hours in the future. Okay. Where did we lose? No, because it's 12:57. Oh, I'm confused. And then Nisi's an hour ahead, I believe, of me, right? So I'm 12:57 right now. I'm Pacific Coast time. Ow. 10:57 in Hawaii. See, it's brunch time in Hawaii. Oh, it's almost noon. Yeah, so you're just an hour, so because it's almost 1. And then Candy and Sasquatch are in Central time zone. I honestly can't remember all the names of the time zones. When did you learn that, like 4th grade? Yeah, well, I haven't had breakfast yet, and it's almost 1 o'clock, so I'm starving. Mountain, that's right. And then Mountain Central, that's where like the Dakotas and stuff, and then Eastern, right? Because there's 4 of them. And then so there's Eastern, Central, Mountain, Pacific, and Nisi. What's the name of Nisi's time zone? I have no idea. Melamoogle, she went and made curry and didn't bring us any. I'm always tempted to post live stream schedule in Alaskan Standard Time to mess with y'all. Well, I think it's funny because it'll be like this in this time zone and this in this time zone, so we're all like going like, wait, are all of those at the same exact time? Because like it's like, you know, Joel will be at 4 and then someone else will be at 5, but they'll be in a different time zone. So it's like, it is kind of like, I mean, I think everyone's like that. Whatever time zone we're in, it's like, oh, we're the ones that matter. Or you could post everything on East Coast time, because most people in Pacific are used to factoring for East Coast time. All right, guys. Well, I will catch you all later, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend. I am starving, so I'm going to go get some food. What is this, Joel? Am I allowed to type again yet, YouTube? It shouldn't be stopping you from typing. Weird. All right, well, I love you all, and I will see you all soon or chat at you soon. And we're excited for you, Nisi. You do post pictures of your new aquarium when you get that set up. And I will when I get my new shrimp. I have been waiting for months for them. All right, guys. Bye. YouTube is silly. It shouldn't time people out unless I tell it to. All right. Later. Bye.